What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Yes, You Guessed It. Let's take a walk. I hope everybody is having a great summer. I definitely am. Been very busy up to this point. I was kind of like on a little hiatus from the show, but I am back. And tonight we have two. I don't know how to describe these young ladies, but they are entrepreneurs, they are authors, they are movers and shakers, if you will. As the young people say, they are girl bosses. They are all of the above. Miss Jaleesa Olds and Dr. Natasha Bivens. They are co-authors of the book. Hold on. Let me make sure I got it right. Make sure I got it right. I almost gave up. Absolute. There you go. Almost gave up. And I think that title is kind of self-explanatory to the contents. And I cannot wait to kind of like chit chat with these ladies and figure out the who's, what's, and whys of what they're doing today. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Olds or Dr. Bivens, I'm going to give them a moment to kind of reintroduce themselves and just give a little background of who they are and some of the things that they have going on. So with that being said, you have the floor.
Hello, my name is Jaleesa Olds. I am the co-author of I Almost Gave Up. That was compiled by Dr. Natasha Bivens, who's also online tonight. Also, I am the director of Fruitful Blessings, a nonprofit that serves the community. And that's a little bit about me. I do work at the shipyard. I'm a health physicist. And I have 3 beautiful girls that I'm raising, and I've been married for about 10 years. So it's a little bit about me.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Natasha Bivens. I am the visionary of the book, I Almost Gave Up. I am a pastor, all of the above. Have a lot of different ministries, Forever Fire Empowerment, Sisters Empowering Sisters, the Recharge Movement. I do a lot out here to try to just save souls, I guess. And I'm just looking forward to this on tonight. Amen. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes,
Absolutely. First off, I want to shout out Jaleesa. We worked together about a year ago.
Yeah.
I was only there for a year, and then I moved on to another position. She was always very gracious and very friendly. She made it, I don't even know the word. Like I said, I'm rusty. She made it easy to go to work. She helped it be easier to go to work every day. Very cool, very nice person, awesome person. So when I, caught wind that she was involved in this project, I was like, you got to let me interview you, right? I gotta have you on. So I'm glad you guys were able to, like I said, indulge me and come on my little podcast and chit chat with me for a little bit. So let's get started. So start from the beginning. What prompted you guys to, start this project?
I'm letting Dr. Natasha answer that because this is her vision. Yeah.
Okay. And so this book came about, everything that I do really is inspired by God. This one actually came about with me being in my kitchen. I was in the kitchen and I could literally hear the Lord say, I almost gave up. But then I heard also, but who would have thought? And when we see the I almost gave up, but who would have thought that the person that you see today is not the person that was at the verge of just losing life and giving up on everything. And so when I go to God, I asked him, who do you want me to ask to be in this project? And when he said Jaleesa, I just reached out and asked her, never knew her story, never knew anything. I wasn't even sure if she was going to give me a yes. But with this inspiration of what God says, it's just so many people that have stories inside that they almost gave up, but they're still here to be able to tell that story. So I'm so glad to be able to share this moment with Miss Jaleesa.
So, Miss Jaleesa, how hard was it for you to say yes? Like, what was your thought process once you were presented with the idea?
I was super excited. Like I just never thought I would be a co-author of anything. So I'm just like, she sent this to me. I'm like, okay. So I was like, I had no idea what to write. But I just felt like, God was just like, go ahead and, just let it out. Like, tell your story, try to help encourage others when they're going through hard times. And so like writing it, it was like kind of like hard, like, cause it brought up memories, but I just knew that's what God wanted me to write down. And so the
Was that
yes was easy, but the writing was hard.
was that something that you feel like you would have done had even if she hadn't approached you?
Not right now. Maybe down the line, but not right now. No.
Okay. Okay.
I will say my mom always like, she wants to write her book and she has books that she wants to publish, but she hasn't done it yet. So like for me to have already done it this fast, it was just like it's nothing but God.
Okay. Yeah. I'm always curious when I talk to authors on here about the process, because like I'm into music and stuff like that, and I know about the creative process. You write and you record and you put stuff out and different stuff like that. But like the whole literary thing, like what's the process like? Like how do you? And this question is for you, Dr. Bibbins. Like how do you even prepare? Like what do you do? Like how do you, once you make the decision, what's the first thing that you do? Like how does the process begin?
So when you begin to write, that's an awesome question, by the way. It is so difficult because now you're trying to figure out there's so many things that's going on inside of my head, but which one do I choose? What do I write about? What is God saying in this moment? Is He's telling me to tell this part of the story, or is it this part of my life that I'm supposed to share? And so it's a lot of going to God just to make sure that you're saying the right thing at the right time, because we can all write a book just like Miss Jaleesa said, but are you putting it out at the right time? So right. Timing is everything. And so whenever we have these stories, you literally have to go to God, because I'm sure that everybody, if you get asked to be in a book, I got so many stories, I can start back when I did such and such. But whatever God wants you to share at that particular moment, it's like really going down deep to decide, okay, God, I need to know, what is it that you want me to share with the world? What is it about my testimony that's going to save somebody else from going through the same thing that I'm going through, or even perhaps contemplating suicide because they feel like I done been through so much that I can't make it out. And we're here to let them know that, listen, we almost gave up too, but we made it out. And so we wanted to share those stories. So we had to dig deep down. What type of story, God, do you want us to share to somebody that may be going through what we've gone through? And this feels like it's over for them, but it's not. And so we just really wanted to give hope. And so that's what your whole meaning is. It's never about just trying to become popular. It's not about just trying to become this great author. It's more so, how can I help somebody else out? And that's where you started.
Being a pastor and, leading or being the face of an organization is a task all in itself. But when you talk about creating a work where you are kind of being extra transparent, does that present even more of a challenge for you to create? Because now you're like, do you even take into account that you're a pastor when you're writing? Because you're like, certain things you might share that people might see you in a different light, or maybe have a different perception of you or whatever. Like, how hard was it to write, or did you have to pull yourself out of the whole you could stop thinking about being a pastor and just being Tasha and writing as Tasha?
Literally go in as being Tasha. But here's one of the things. Most pastors, if they're honest, they've been through something.
Right.
And we do a bad job by making people feel like we've never done anything, as if we just came from the womb and went straight to the pulpit. We don't have a life. And those people can't really reach the broken. We can't get them. If I share this story, how would they see me? Most of the time, they're going to see me as somebody that's on their level now, somebody that they can talk to, because I'm not trying to hide my story. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm better than you. Yes, I may have to stand up, and yes, I may have to preach, but the reality is I'm still a woman. I'm still a woman of God. I'm still serving God, but I'm still serving God's people. And so I want everybody to be able to look at me like, okay, if she has gone through this, and she's still here. One of the worst things I think for me is not in this book, but the last book. I got upset with God. Can I just tell the truth for a second?
Absolutely.
I got upset with God, because why would you want me to tell that? Why would you want me to tell that piece of my life when nobody knew that side of my life? That was a piece of my story that was hidden, but he wanted me to share it. And so I really battled with him, and I was so upset, like, why? And so people at this point, like, I didn't even know that you were married before. I know. Nobody did. You know, that was a piece of my life that happened. I was able to throw it away, clapping. Nobody knew. But when he made me show that piece of my life and the things that I had to go through being a pastor, being a preacher, I had to share that part of my life, and I really had to uncover everything about me. So people are looking at me like, oh, I didn't know she was, being divorced is a big thing. But I had to share that with the world. It didn't cause any harm to me, but it more so let people know that if you're going through, you don't have to stay in it. You can come out of it. Yeah. And so, no, I never look at it as pastor. I'm always Tasha, no matter what I do. I'm Tasha anyway. So.
Okay, so I pose the same question to you, Jaleesa. Being a married mother, nurturer, people have a certain perception of you as a person. You know what I mean? You like I said, you are a manager. You manage your children and your family and your household, and the matriarch, and there's so many responsibilities that's placed on your plate, even outside of the whole book. Was it a challenge for you to be extra transparent in your life? Was there ever a concern that maybe people might not see you in the same way that they saw you prior to the book being released? Like, what was that thought process like for you?
Definitely. I feel like if someone would ask me to write this 10 years ago, they'd have been like, no, I'm okay. But it takes time to like get past the shame and to get past what you have dealt with. And so yeah, it was kind of challenging, but I would say like God has already like gave me the mercy and the grace. So I'm fine with writing my stuff. I think one of the hardest things was probably to write about was my brother. And, because family business, you want to keep it close. A lot of people didn't know that my brother had schizophrenia. So, was diagnosed with it. But like putting that out, a lot of people didn't know about that. So, and then me being arrested, people was like, you've been arrested? What? I'm like, yes.
Twice. I couldn't imagine. That's crazy to me. Like, I couldn't imagine that.
And so it was just like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lay it all out, I mean,
that's crazy.
You see me every day smiling at work. You would never think I dealt with anything in my life, but I can smile now. I can smile probably through about anything because I know God gonna keep me.
Right. So tell me this. What did you learn about yourselves that you didn't know, that you possibly didn't know prior to creating this project, that you might not have known, prior to? Like, what was, if you could name the most pronounced thing that you learned about yourself after completing this project?
For me, I'll go ahead and say that that I was delivered and set free. That's that one thing. A lot of times we think that we're delivered and we're over certain things, but until you're actually able to write it and not be afraid of it anymore, that's when you see how well you've grown and that you've truly been delivered. So that would be my one thing.
Okay.
I think, like you said, like being delivered and then just being strong enough to actually write that stuff. Like after I wrote it and read it, it's like, oh my God, this is like me on paper. Like, this is what people are going to read about me. Like, they might judge me, they might criticize me, but hey, like, I'm strong enough to put it out. Like, this is me. Accept me wholly or don't accept me at all. I'll be fine.
Okay. So, you have multiple writers contributing to the project. How do you organize that? Who gets the first chapter? Who gets the 7th chapter? Who gets the 5th chapter? Like, how do you?
I don't. I send it in. My publisher has the Holy Ghost. Okay. And so when I give it to her, shout out to Chosen Butterfly, but when I give it to her, all I do is give the chapters and she just do the rest. I don't know who's coming first, second, third, the order. I don't know anything. I get it right before they get it. That's when I see it as well. So yeah, I take my hands off it. I don't let her, not even to giving the design for the book cover. Never have. She does all of that.
What was what was your level of input as it pertains to each person? Like, was there ever a point that you reached in and was like, okay, this is too much? Nope. Or maybe you go deeper or whatever? How much input did you?
I did not. I let them tell their story. One of the things that I've done multiple times with the books is that I do not read their stories. I do not read them. I was putting Jaleesa's in and I started reading it, the beginning of it, and something I never do. And I was like, oh my goodness, I did not know. And I was almost in tears. So I knew I had to hurry up and close it so that I could just send it all to the altar, because I want to get it when everybody else gets it. And so I never give anybody well, if they call me and ask me, I would. But other than that, tell your story. Tell your truth. It's your truth to tell. I don't want to interrupt that truth.
Let's back up for a second. How was this relationship formed? Like, what's the origin of you guys' relationship?
We used to fellowship together a long time ago. I'm trying to remember how long ago, but it was a long time ago.
Maybe more than 10 years, because I definitely wasn't engaged or married. So probably like 15 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I came to her Recharge conference like 2 years in a row. And I mean, she has great conferences. Like, you should definitely come out if you have the time. And that's how we kind of just kept, in touch and seeing each other on the Facebook,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we would always keep up on Facebook anyway. But to see her face again, I was like, yeah.
Okay. So one thing I shouldn't say always. I've just kind of like got the revelation here recently. And when I say recently, like maybe in the last couple of years, that the one thing that God allows us to be connected in is pain. We all can relate in the sense that we've all experienced some, level of pain or heartbreak or whatever the case may be. But as difficult as it may be, I'm just now starting to realize that that pain or that challenge or that thing that we go through is the bridge that allows us to kind of like connect. Like if it's hard for me to glean from you if you've never been through anything, and vice versa. If you haven't experienced, you may not have experienced the same exact thing as me. However, you have been around the block, as they say, and it makes it much easier to relate, and therefore get on that road to deliverance and destiny, and whatever purpose. That's purpose has kind of been my watchword for the last probably couple of years. So how do you feel when you complete the project? Like, how does it feel to be finished, to see it, and people people gravitate to it, and they're being impacted by it, and they're being affected by it, and they're having conversations about it? How does that, is that a cathartic feeling? Is it a good feeling, or do you feel like it's nerve-wracking sometimes because you're doing this and you're not in every home, you're not privy to every conversation? Do you think about it? Do you think about how people are receiving it when you're not around? Like, what's that whole thing, that whole process like?
So when you get to see it, because what the publisher do, she will send me the whole manuscript. She'll just send it to me, how it's put together, how it's going to look when it arrives as a book. Once I see that, it's like, okay, we have a book. And I say, y'all, we have a book. I'm just now waiting on it to come. But once you really get to see it and see that it has all come together, it's a feeling that it's full of emotions, right? You get to see everybody's hard work. You're so grateful for their yes. You're just grateful. And for me, though, I take on a different spin because I want everybody else. It's all about everybody else. It's never about me. And so it's always about them. I want them to be bestsellers. I want them to, their stories. I want people to get to know who they are. I want them to get to know who these new authors are. I just want them to shine. And so when I finish the project, I pray over it. I always pray, and I want these stories to be in the homes and be talked about. I want people to listen to these stories, read these stories, just listen to them and just feel them in the inside. So I'm very emotional at every project because of that. I don't want it to be looked at as just something that we did, because if you look at it now, it seems like every week somebody's putting out a book. Right. And so I don't want it to just be looked at, oh, it's just another book. No, I want this to be a book that somebody needs, where they say, I got to get this book because I have therapy with other people and I want to share this with somebody else because I want them to be healed. And so you're full of these type of emotions because you just want it to be great and you want everybody else to just receive it and feel what we felt while we was writing it.
Right.
Yeah, and to add to that, like, I had a young lady and she read it and she was like, the first chapter, I was just crying. She was like, I cannot believe like people are going through this. Like they're going through the same things I'm going through. And I had family members like, Jaleesa, you went through all this? Like, what? Not you. And I was like, yeah. So it makes the yes and the writing all worth it because it feels like, yeah, you're doing something to help uplift the people or to strengthen them while they're going through a tough time. So I really felt awesome once people started reading it and giving me, feedback on it. So it's great.
That is amazing. So now you guys are authors.
Yes, you first time, heard multiple times.
Like, do you have to say that to yourself over and over again? Like, do you feel like an author? Like, even though you've created this great work and you've put it out and you've done everything that an author is supposed to do you feel like an author? How does it feel? Does it still feel funny when people refer to you as that?
I would say yes, a little bit. And so many people have came to me like, hey, I want to write my book. What publisher did you use? And I'm like, look, I just said yes and someone else handled everything. But to me, it's just, it's just something that's like, yeah, I'm a published offer. Like a lot of people are working towards that, and it happened overnight. Like it literally came to my door, and I'm glad I accepted the yes from Dr. Natasha because it's worth it. She has been so great in this process too. Like as far as just like letting us have the books and get it out there. She just really has like a giving heart. Just love her.
I noticed that one thing I've experienced, like when people work on things that they've, maybe don't have much experience in or have never done before, you learn the process and you do it. Like, what was it like? And this question is for you, Jaleesa. because Dr. Bibbins this is not her first book, so I'm gonna ask the newbie. How many times did you have to rewrite your spot? Because if you're anything like me, my thoughts can be all over the place at certain times, and so I would assume that you would have had to chronologically put it in an order so that the reader can be like, okay, this happened first, this happened, then this happened. But then sometimes there are like little ancillary things around it that you know what I'm saying? Like how long did it take you or how many times did you rewrite your space? Did you feel like you had trouble like organizing your thoughts, and once you're done, do you feel like you're better equipped to organize your thoughts in order to express them in a way that you need to?
I think I'm better equipped now because I kind of like I didn't want to read her last book because I didn't want to see how anyone else's story was yet. And so I kind of just wanted to do what, the Lord told me to do. So I'm always about how I guess college showed you like write your intro, write your ending. So I wrote my intro and I was like, okay, the toughest part of my life was college life. I just had so much going on. So I said, I knew I wanted to write that, but I didn't know how much further I wanted to go in it. And it was like, even when I was writing, like I was like, do I want to put this in? Do I want to put that in? But I wanted to just make it so it was effective and not like so much words, but like, people were actually hearing the testimony, hearing how God pulled me through. So yeah, I kind of went back some time and added. So it took me some time, like, and I didn't all write it in like one sitting. I would write like a paragraph here, and then I would like come back the next day and write it. Like I said, the writing part was hard. Like it was kind of like emotional, exhausting. Like I was like, sometimes I'd be crying while I'm writing, but like it was like flowing. I'm just like, this was a lot. Like she said, it was like a little bit of deliverance in there. So, yeah, like I had to go back through it a couple of times, and then I had like one thing that Dr. Natasha told us, it was like, keep it, don't tell many people about it. So I didn't tell anyone. The only person I told was my mom, because I wanted her to look over it and make sure like it sounded okay and looked okay. And then of course about my brother, family issues, you want to make sure you cover it. I want to make sure I was okay to say that with my mother. And so it was helpful to have extra eye and to actually know like it was everything I wrote was, right. And I won't say right, but meant to be there.
Yeah. Somebody told me the other day they said, don't talk about what you do what you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very, that's the first thing I thought of when you said that. So many people, I feel like they ace themselves out of vision, not opportunity, but vision, because they share and they share and they share and they share and the intention is good because you're looking for encouragement, you're looking for support and stuff like that. But sometimes you talk so much that you overwhelm yourself, you know what I mean? And you find yourself not completing, what you were meant to set out to do. So, but like I said, I take my hat off to you guys. You do for that. It must have been very, 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 challenging. Was there any points, and this question is for both of you, was there any points that you surprised yourself with what you wrote? Like, was there a moment where you remembered or you wrote something and you were like, dang, I don't even remember, like that wasn't even, a part of your story, but you, in that moment, you remembered that and you're like, dang, I wasn't even, I forgot about that. You know what I mean? Were there many moments that you kind of like surprised yourself, in the writing process?
Oh, I would say yes. Mainly like my college years, because it's been a while. I don't want to say how many years, but it's been a while. So like when I was writing, I was like, I forgot I went through that. Like, so yeah, it kind of did some things like kind of got brought back up writing it out on paper.
How about you, Dr. B?
Yeah, always. Whenever you're writing and then you go back to reading, you be like, what? because when you're reading and when you're writing, you're in a different space.
Right.
And then when you go back and read what you wrote, it's like, oh man, it's like, okay. Because sometimes it's like, I forgot I had went through that. So if I have remembered that I went through that and now I'm putting it on paper, because you're in a whole nother dimension when you're writing. Right. And then when you go back to read it, you're in a whole nother mindset. And it's like, oh my goodness, I did go through that. I do remember I do recall this now, but you don't remember it when you're really going through it because you're allowing, the Spirit of the Lord to just lead you and guide you. And sometimes you forget until you go back and be like, wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, I truly respect that. And as much as we talk, right, it's surprisingly, I'm always surprised how surprisingly difficult it is to put things down on paper, even though we run our mouths constantly day after day after day. You know what I'm saying? That's sometimes I struggle to even write a text message sometimes because, you know what I mean? But so that's why I really respect you guys. Thank God for Chat GPT.
I didn't even think about using that. I probably would put my words together a little better.
Somebody just mentioned, you can use ChatGPT. I said, for what? Like, yeah.
Listen. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It's been clutch for me a couple times. It was clutch for me.
My grant for my nonprofit, ChatGPT. So,
I just heard about that.
It's clutch, definitely clutch. I mean, I don't do it all the time, you know what I'm saying, but it's definitely. Hold on.
What is that? But I just heard you say something that was interesting, though. We were talk.
Okay, that was crazy. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. So needless to say, I work in my garage. So that's my studio's in my garage. So my wife just came from grocery shopping and stuff. So anyway, disclaimer.
Real time. It's real time.
Yeah, that was just disclaimer. Yeah. What was I saying?
Okay.
No, let's kind of shift gears a little bit. The church. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the church a little bit. I've noticed, like, in probably, I don't know, maybe the last 5-10 years, maybe 5-6 years, mm-hmm. that the application of ministry has somewhat evolved in the sense that, for the most part, in the presentation of it. Mm-hmm. There used to be a time when I was growing up, I was laughing with my pastor a few weeks ago. When I was growing up, my pastor never wore jeans, never wore shorts, never. His idea of dressing down was not wearing a tie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even at the picnics, he would show up in slacks, suspenders, short sleeve dress shirt, or rolled up dress shirt, whatever. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, you have ministry that, you have pastors that come up with ripped jeans and vintage Jordan, retro Jordans, or whatever, Gucci, whatever mm-hmm. name brand it is, whatever. Mm-hmm. And even the expression of the ministry is a bit more practical. It's more life-based, like using things that we can relate to every day, like our jobs and different things like that, to express certain Christian principles, to the people. Mm-hmm. Being a pastor, do you ever, with all that being said, you came up in a certain era, and ministry was expressed in a certain way, mm-hmm. and now you see it the way it is now. Mm-hmm. Have you ever found yourself chasing a sound. And what I mean by that, musically speaking, you have an artist who is talented or gifted, whatever. However, maybe they're not as popular as this artist over here. And so this artist over here may be doing a certain type of music. So in order for this artist to be successful, he thinks that he has to kind of mimic what this other artist is doing in order to be successful. Have you ever felt the pinch or the pull to be more like, like a John Gray or a Stephen Furtick or, or somebody like that?
No. So going back to being brought up, I was brought up in an era where ministry was sacred. I was just talking about this with my husband not too long ago, how, now we allow the children to get on the pulpit, run across it, flip over it. They're dancing in the pulpit. They're having a good time. Well, in the era that I come up in, we weren't allowed to even step foot on the pulpit.
Right.
If we had to go around to the other side, we had to walk all the way, not across the front of the church, but in the back of the church and go all the way around to go to the other side. Nothing like what we're doing today. And so now I still have a lot of those principles. I don't like the playing in the church. I don't like certain things that a lot of people have now come accustomed to. And so when I see certain things, the good thing about me is that God has put me in a lane to myself, put it that way. So I don't worry about big crowds. I don't worry about trying to keep up with the next person. I only want to do what God wants me to do. And I have to be about God's agenda. When we talk about the dress code, there are moments where I don't dress up, but it's hard for me because of how I was raised and how I was brought up. I still wear pantyhose. They laugh at me. I still wear pantyhose. I would dare not preach without pantyhose on because it's just how I was brought up. I have to be covered. And so I'm always in that era. Other people be like, girl, I don't wear that anymore. But I can't help it because it's what I was raised up on. And on the flip side of that, a lot of people have now started to dress down because they want to attract the audience, right? So if someone comes inside the church and they see you dressed up and they don't have a suit, they see you dressed up and they don't have a nice skirt. And so they assume that because I only have jeans, I'm not welcome here. And so they try to, downplay it so that they can feel comfortable when they come inside the church. So we do both, but I would never, ever disrespect God's house. That's just not how I was raised. I'm not going to try and get nobody else's sound. I don't want to repeat what nobody else is doing. Whatever I do, it's going to be God-led, especially going in front of God's people, because that's something that I don't want to have any blood on my hand at the end of the day. And if we could get back to the old time church, it would be a wonderful thing where we did matter, just going to church. It didn't matter about the music. We would get in there, just hand clap, stomp our feet and have a good time. Now we don't have to, because tell the truth, because that's what I'm doing now. If you don't have the right sound system, if you don't have the right keyboard, if it ain't the right one, we got to go get the right thing so it can sound good over the internet. So we're trying to do all of these great things to make sure that the people from the outside that's viewing us from the outside would be welcome in the inside. And so we, but it's a fine line for me. I'm not going to cross over and talk craziness just because I want you to, come inside the doors. I'm not going to lower my standards of God for that. Just not going to do that.
How about you, Jaleesa, being a woman of faith, and I'm not sure, if you hold a position in your local assembly or whatever, but I'm saying as a person who, is a certain age, you're not, I'm sure you're not, elderly. So,
I would say you just have to be authentic to yourself. You can't try to chase after what you see. And I feel like when I was maybe my 20s, I would you may maybe try to do that with other, with people like, hey, I want to look like that. But when you get older, you just, you know, be authentic. You be yourself. You're comfortable in who you are. That's what is my bishop used to say. Who you are, whose you are. So
Right.
I know whose I am. So I'm comfortable with whatever I put on, but I always want to be like respectable and modest, and not showing too much, of course. And as far as what Dr. Natasha was saying about the sound system and all that, and it's so true. Like I feel like church nowadays is like the people come in and they're not ready to praise. They're like looking at you to kind of amp them up, and it's like, hey, y'all should already come into the house ready to give thanks to the Lord. But you have to have all those special elements together just for people to be entertained. But that's not what it's about. It's really about the message.
Right. And it's kind of, I think Dr. B spoke to it a little bit when she was talking. It's kind of complicated because there's while it can be looked at as superficial, there is still, or I feel like there is still a responsibility to do things in the highest form of excellence that they possibly can, because people are looking at it, but more so because of who and what you're representing. I speak to a lot of Christian artists about this, particularly especially women of color, because they tend to be more I don't even know what the word is, man, but they seem to be more curvy and
yes,
or whatever. And there are certain things that you cannot, you can't help it. You just are what you are, right? And I've heard artists say, yeah, I'm gonna wear what I'm gonna wear, if it's Gucci, if it's Balenciaga, whatever it is, because I'm representing God, and I can't go up in front of people and tell them about a God who blesses and has cattle on 1,000 hills, and me coming up looking like a bum. But then on the flip side, you have an artist that'll say, I'm very modest. I don't wear no jewelry. I don't, wear name brands or whatever, using the same reasoning, because I'm up there for God. And I don't want people to be distracted by what I'm wearing, because I'm coming to represent God. So it's kind of like a complicated thing between the two, because I feel like there kind of is an element of entertainment, dare I say, that kind of needs to be there, but it's a delicate, just feel like it's just like a delicate balance. And some people, and it's very rare that you find a person, or you find a place, not a person, but a place who is perfectly balanced. They're either spiritually sound but not culturally relevant, or they go out of their way to be culturally relevant and not spiritually sound. It's very rare that you find that equal balance to your movement. But I say all that because I'm always curious to know how people of faith feel about certain issues, not to be provocative or anything like that, but just interest. Who would you say is and this question is for both of you, and whether it be professionally, family wise, or just overall, who would you say is your greatest influence today? If somebody asked you I'm asking you today, who would you say is your greatest influence in this moment, and why?
That's easy. That my mother, Monica Thomas. She just taught me never to quit. So everything I try to do with excellence, like you said, and put my all into it. People sometimes at work like, you worrisome, you always doing too much, but hey, I've always had to work hard in me. Like that's just a trait in me. Like I'm not gonna just slack off just because. But yeah.
For me, it is my spiritual mother. I recently just lost her, and how funny is this question is because I was just thinking about her this morning, and the influence and the teaching and what she gave me, that would last forever in me. And that's why with my next book is going to be dedicated to her because of the teaching and the everything that she gave me that I did not have, when it comes to a mother, to give me everything that I needed. One that would, pat me on the back, but one that would be like, you listen, you need to get yourself together. She wasn't the one that's just going to baby me. She was that one that's going to teach me and make sure that I'm doing things in decency and in order. So it would definitely be her.
Okay. And speaking as women who are doing things like like writing books, and you're not running ministry but leading ministries and different movements, nonprofits, and all these different things. I think that it's important that you exist, not just because of what you do per se, but you represent an example of what can be or what is possible. So you might have a young lady who is not sure what their direction is. They might want to write a book, but feel like they don't have what it takes to write a book, or whatever. And somebody can point to say, hey, Dr. Natasha did it. Hey, Jaleesa did it. Here's their book. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need as many examples as we possibly can get to the positive, so that our youth can see, and not just our youth, just people in general who may not feel that they are talented enough or smart enough or witty enough, or whatever the case may be, to do certain things. And I think that it's highly important that you guys are illuminated and high up. What would you say, and this question is for both of you, what would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
About women
About
in general?
about you.
Me. I think for me, I can answer that. A lot of people probably don't think that I've ever gone through anything, or a lot of what I hear a lot now that I didn't pay attention to back then is that people now look at me as one that kind of think they're all that. But if they get to know me, they would be like, oh, she's so down to earth. Mm-hmm. And so when you look a certain way, carry yourself a certain way, drive a certain car, live in a certain house, people are going to judge you based on what they see, and not realize that you work hard to get where you are. And so that misconception of me not being this great helper that I am, that's who I am. I'm a lover of people. I just love people. And so that's always been a misconception. And then the other thing, can I just say two things that a woman ain't supposed to preach? Because as a woman, it can share the word of God. So that's the other thing. So
okay. How about you, Miss Jaleesa?
I would say that they was like, oh, you're pretty, you're probably stuck up. Or you're pretty and probably not smart. So, yeah, like you said, like people never think you go through anything. People think that stuff was just handed to you. Like I've been working since I was able to work 15 and a half or 16, whatever. And so I've always worked. I always had a job. Like nothing was ever given to me. I had great parents that raised me, and like I said, they instilled in me to work hard, and that's all I've ever did. And it's got me far. So
that's an interesting thing that you brought up, Jaleesa. And this is kind of probably going to sound funny to you guys, this question. But is it different when you're good looking? Like, is it different for you being attractive women going forward? Like you said, people have certain perceptions of you when you look a certain way. Like, do you feel like in certain spaces it's been more difficult for you because you're attractive?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been in different churches, and I'll say this: the last one, before I lost the weight that I have now, I probably was, as the word you was trying to say, a little shapely, and couldn't help it. Okay, because we're women, we can't help it. But you would be looked at or frowned upon, even though you're doing everything right. You're not come up against it. And of course, I have a husband that's going to the same ministry with me, that's looking at me and smiling and just like, you, she looks good to me. Like nothing's wrong with her. But you always have to look at what they're saying. And so
Right.
they're looking at you as someone that's, maybe that she shouldn't have worn that. And to say that, she looks bad all because I look good. And God never told us that we had to look ugly. He never
Right.
told us that we couldn't look good. And I think that's the misconception, especially when we go into spaces where they're looking at you. I love to see a well-dressed woman. I love to see someone that looks good. I don't have that frown that other people have. I think it's beautiful. I love to give other women kudos, like, oh, you're looking good today. That's nice. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say in some spaces sometimes um being pretty isn't the greatest, but then sometimes people can kind of use that, like, hey, you can get this, so you go up there and ask them, so they kind of use you for
Right.
how you look.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking,
Right.
not to cut you off, but like, do you find it harder? Do you find at certain spaces that it's harder to get things done sometimes because of that?
I mean, sometimes, but I mean, most of the time I try not to be used for that. I'll just say that much.
Right, right. Okay. That I've always, like I said, I my brain works differently, and so these things, I actually think about these things. Like, does pretty privilege actually exist? Like, does
Maybe
that?
back in the day, though, I would say in my BC days.
Okay.
In the BC days, maybe because you're able to do certain things or get certain things because you look a certain way. So yeah,
Right.
it has its ups and its downs at moments, like Jaleesa said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a couple more questions for you. This is my second to last question. If you could have it your way tomorrow, like at its peak, what where would the book be? Like, what would the book be? Where would the book be? Like, what would it accomplish in your greatest thinking? Like, where would you want it to be at its peak?
I would love if it was all possible, it would actually be on the mainstream, being in everybody's homes on their television streams, where people would be able to see this book come alive, where you could see that I don't have to give up. We see movies like that all the time. This book would be a book that's in everybody's home on the big screen.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Or on top of it saying New York's bestseller, something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so this is my last official question. It's a question that I ask all my guests. I just want you guys to take a minute and take a moment and think about the question and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you could possibly give me. And the question is this: what would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? what does success look like for you specifically?
My life now, and the reason I said that is because
oh, you went low. Okay.
So I'm living my success, and God is just adding little things like, I don't know, not little things, sorry, big things like the book and me being a director of a nonprofit. So he's just adding little things to my resume, I would say, that kind of blow my mind. Like I would never think I'd be on a podcast or on TV or on a radio station, but it just keeps adding up. Keeps adding on.
Awesome.
So for me, I've done a lot of things and I've been very successful in them only because of God. But if I were to say the one thing that would make me feel like I've really accomplished something is for my kids to be what I know they could be. And when they finally just stand up and say, this is what I want out of life, I feel like, yeah, I've done it. But I got so much more work to do. So,
yeah.
Awesome. That is amazing, you guys. And I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chit chat with me and with us and share, your experiences. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, like maybe they were watching this and maybe they want to know more about the book or where to get the book, or maybe they want you to come and speak at their event or whatever have you, right? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook as Jaleesa Old, as you see on the screen. Also, if you're interested in my nonprofit, it's called Fruitful Blessings. We have a website. It's www.fruitfulblessings5.org, and we help the homeless. We have 3 mini pantries in 3 different schools: SeaTac, College Park, and Newtown Elementary, where we give school supplies and lunch bags every year. So yeah, like if you want to volunteer, help out with the community with school supplies or even food or even help with feed the homeless, contact me on my little credit many things. That's how many things looking at school, by the way. So yeah, just message me. I'm open to talk to anyone.
Okay.
For me, I am the Dr. Natasha Bibbins on all social media platforms. My website is www.natashabibbins.com, and my email is admin@natashabibbins.com.
Awesome, you guys. What do you have anything coming up? Any events together or book tours or whatever?
Yeah.
So we're so excited about Sunday. Sunday we'll be on the Eastern Shore in Belhaven, Virginia, doing a book signing event. So we're super excited about that. So yeah, that's coming up soon, Sunday, 3 p.m. on the Eastern Shore.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all your success. I want to extend to you an open invitation to return to the podcast anytime. You want to talk about the book some more. You want to talk about the nonprofits. You want to talk about ministry. You want to talk about whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just there's an open invitation to come back and share. And we'll definitely make it happen. Again, thank you guys for just being so gracious and so transparent. I truly appreciate it. And please forgive me again. I've been kind of on vacation. So I was kind of rusty, but thank you for again being patient with me and rocking with me through this whole thing.
Thank you for having
Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you want to share with the people before we sign off?
Nope, just go get the book.
Tell them where they can get the book. Where can they get it?
It's on Amazon, so you can Google it on Amazon. I Almost Gave Up, and there's an electronic version.
Okay.
Or if you want to sign a copy from Jaleesa, contact her.
Yes. If you want to sign copies, please inbox me, message me, whatever. Yep.
Yeah.
Or go to Belhaven.
Don't tell me, yeah.
Yes. Again, I thank you guys, and I wish you much success going forward. And even the things that that haven't even happened yet, I wish you much success in that as well. Thank you so much. You guys have an awesome night and an amazing weekend. Again, I appreciate you, and I definitely take my hat off to you. Much respect, because I can only imagine what goes into what you guys do. I mean, I know we talked about it, but unless you're in it, you cannot feel the entire, situation. But again, thank you very much.
You. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night.
Thank you as well.
So there you have it, guys. Another amazing interview with two amazing guests. Shout out to Miss Jaleesa Olds and Dr. Natasha Bibbins. Please check out their book. I Almost Gave Up, on Amazon. Reach out to them on Facebook, Instagram, all their social media sites. Look out for their book signings and their appearances, because it's truly important that we support those that are doing things positive around us. We complain about a lot of things, but we support very little. You know what I'm saying? We talk about problems that are happening, and we talk about empowerment, but we tend not to support the people that are trying to make change. They're trying to make impact, that are trying to do things that help the culture and help the community. We tend to shun away from them for some reason. So this is not only an interview, but it's also an opportunity to support, to show respect for, to pay homage to. I could go on and on, but it's very important. It's like voting. If you don't, if you don't put your 2 cents in, so to speak, then what are you complaining for? So, with that being said, again, shout out to Ms. Jaleesa and Dr. Natasha. I wish them much success. I thank you guys for coming on and watching the interview, and I thank you in advance for those who will watch the playback. And as I always tell you guys, if there's a vision that God has given you, that you feel as God has given you, if you dream about it, think about it, see it in your mind, vivid and clear, I implore you to step out on faith, to step out. You may not have all that you feel like you need, but where God gives vision, he provides provision. So therefore, with that being said, step out, because we need you. There is a space that's custom made for you to fill. Not to mention, there's dreams. There are people attached to these visions. They are waiting for us to make certain decisions and make certain moves so that they can make good and move forward on their moves, on the things that God has placed for them, that has in store for them. So it makes it all that more important. So with that being said, man, you guys have a good night, and man, we'll see you next week. And as always, let's